Well, thank you guys for coming back out. We've tried this a couple of times to sit down and just speak. Never really finding exactly what to speak, but ultimately, I think we found a common string that connects all of us, which is like, we no matter where we go, us three, we're always asking questions. We're always, seeking to find some kind of hidden knowledge behind the thing. And of course, as a magician, that's what we've been obsessed with.
Yeah.
Rocky has had many things that he's been into, for sure. Always seeking some sort of knowledge, and lately with ChatGPT, it's been this like interesting development in our curiosity, because ChatGPT now can be this like rabbit hole of information where you're just anybody that's ever really sat down with ChatGPT, and if you're the kind of person that really asks some serious questions, you know how deep that can go.
We should talk about that today for sure. This is exciting because I don't think we ever did this, right? So Devonte and I tried a podcast sit down before. I think you guys did one together before. Rocky and I have done, but we never, not all three of us, but when all three of us come together, something magical usually happens. So that's what we're hoping for.
And
today.
usually and these guys are really what's behind, a lot of what I'm doing on my professional level as a mentalist and as a magician. I'm usually calling you guys to figure out, how to think about something, or just to think around like-minded people. So I figured, let me share some of how I think, which is, similar to you two.
So wait, who are you?
So my name is Devonte Magic. I'm a magician mentalist, and I have this unique experience of living a life, performing for people of all walks of life, and seeing them in a space where they're watching something they've never seen before, whether that's magic, mind reading, and that's who I am.
Awesome. Rocky, who are you?
Who am I? That's an epistemological question. That's a very deep question. Who am I? You got 2 hours?
We got 35 minutes, but hurry up.
Just a friend, someone here, just to be like a sounding board to whatever there is, and if I can put my 2 cents in, then that's.
So Rocky's my dad. That's another way to do it. So Rocky's my dad.
More specifically,
but he's a very interesting individual.
He's
you
like
guys are gonna get to know him more.
Yeah.
Six, who the hell are you?
Michael Six Muldoon, a magician, teacher, speaker, soon to be author. Very passionate about wonder and curiosity, which is some of the things that we'll get into. That's who I am. But let's get back to this conversation about ChatGPT. It is a hot topic everywhere. I know it is in the education space. I know it is in the rest of the world as well. But I think we had some interesting conversations today and over the last few weeks about ChatGPT and how we've all used it in some way to help further our lives, either to try to be more successful, to get to better understand ourselves, to make a greater impact in the world. And there's a lot of value in it that I think people can walk away with. So, Devonte, start us off. What was the conversation we had earlier about ChatGPT that you were telling me that you got from Rocky? So we'll come back to him.
So with me and ChatGPT, Rocky had been telling me about ChatGPT. Of course, he's my dad, so telling me about ChatGPT, I thought I knew everything there was to know about ChatGPT, which is this technology that, of course, it's not just like the internet. It's really giving you a detailed answer to a lot of your questions. And for the most part, I saw it as a way to get, if I needed to write an email, it would write the email for me in a professional manner. If I needed to know, can you break down, this thing in a very simple way? Yes, it could break it down. What Rocky was messing around with was kind of like getting ChatGPT to know him a little better by feeding it information about him. I like to do this. I like this. I think like this. And all of a sudden, he started asking questions more like, well, what can you tell me about that? And what can you tell me, in essence, about me? And, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I know some people are probably thinking like, oh, my God, you're taking advice from a robot. You know what I mean? In essence. But in many ways, this robot seems to know you more than you know yourself in ways. If people, like I said, if you've messed around with ChatGPT, it has an ability to sort of read between the lines. It has an ability to sort of find what you're telling it and find what you're trying to say through it. And I think a lot of people can say that it's given language to a lot of our thoughts.
Yeah, and we use it definitely in education a lot as teachers. And one of my coworkers, Miss V, shout out Miss V, she was like, "You should ask ChatGPT this question. Tell me something. Oh, based on everything you know about me, tell me something you know about me that I won't know about myself." And it gives you an incredible breakdown based on all the prompts you put in, the things you ask it. And it was really astounding, the feedback that it gave. If you're using ChatGPT, use that prompt. You'll be surprised at what it tells you. Rocky, how did you get started with it?
Well, you were the one that told me about it.
Okay.
And then I tried it and I loved it. Yeah. So
what did you ask it though? What was the thing that sparked all of us now kind of taking this deep dive into better understanding ourselves?
So basically, I started asking simple questions because I'm reading this book by Sat God. I'm not gonna say the name, but So basically, he wrote it in a way that it's for college level, audience, and he's using some big words like hegemony. What is hegemony? To the layperson. So basically, the United States has a hegemony when it comes to, let's say, democracy. Like, it's a leading power that it has. France has a hegemony in regards to, let's say, cuisine and fine eating. So they have like this mandate, So I find myself listening to the book and then asking ChatGPT, what does this mean? So I've used a dictionary before. However, with ChatGPT, there's a dialogue. And then I had like an epiphany because I was driving to my mother's house and I had asked it, what is writ large? And I had asked it 2 times prior. And I noticed something about it, me. And I noticed that I was used to being judged in asking too many questions. So I inhibited my line of questioning to maybe a minute or 2. And then I would give up on myself because I've been conditioned, like Pavlov dogs, to not ask so many questions. So I just caught myself in the act. And then I asked one of the most ridiculous questions to ChatGPT. And I said, "Are you getting tired of my line of questioning?" Obviously, she said, because I have a female voice on ChatGPT. And she said, "Of course not. Just keep asking." Well, asking I did. 35 minutes later, I was still asking her about the word writ large because I just couldn't get to it. The way I'll say this and I'll give it back.
You also going to have to tell us what that is because the
suspense is somewhere right now with her friends.
Because I'm sitting here like writ large. I don't think that's in my vocabulary.
Writ large is just basically the way I see it is written in large. Like something that's so obvious. Like obviously the policies didn't work because of high crimes. So the policies, that were implemented did not work. Writ large did not work. Obviously didn't work, because of the high crime. Something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the funny thing about writ large, which was tripping me up, is you can put something writ large in the beginning. So you can start writ large, high crimes and policies, right? So policies and high crime. And then you could put writ large in the middle. So the policy, writ large, high crimes kind of like deal. Or at the end, the policies were a failure because look at the high crimes writ large.
I see.
You follow what I'm saying?
Almost like an exclamation point of some kind.
Exactly. So it's really cumbersome to understand how to use the word writ large. It's not. It doesn't lend itself to easy understanding.
Right.
And most teachers, and I know you're one, you only have so much time to dedicate to a child or to a person.
Well, let's talk about this, right? Because this is something that I think unites all of this. So I also see it as like Rocky comes from a generation where, obviously many people in his generation, I don't know if how many of them are interacting with ChatGPT, but I would say
not a lot. A lot of
I
them
would say
in my experience,
probably the last group to join the ChatGPT, if anything, would be that. Maybe even our age is still like maybe the newer age,
still resistant.
However, I think the thing at the center of it, it's like, seeking wonder, seeking questions, seeking, this idea of seeking is an interesting thing that we have in common. And of course, seekers, something like ChatGPT is just like an amazing gift to people that are seeking, that are trying to ask questions. I like what Rocky said because it doesn't get tired, and I want to tap into something else, which is, obviously, you teach in a school environment, where we grew up around as well, where you have a lot of low income housing, a lot of kids that don't have access to certain kind of education. Let's say they're maybe not even around the certain kind of family members that have the patience.
Yeah.
And this may not even be a money thing. It may just be a cultural thing. It may be many things. But what is the leverage that I think, that you guys think that like ChatGPT is going to have on the future seekers that come from maybe underprivileged communities?
It is an invaluable tool. And we have to start looking at AI as a tool that is there to support us. And I think there's a lot of fear around AI and what it can do and what's possible with it. So that's why people are avoiding it. And I think the major fear, is that people are in a place right now where they think AI is going to replace humans. And I recently made a short for my LinkedIn profile, a little video where I was talking to my students, and the connection hit me that as the need or the use of AI increases, I'm making an argument that on the other side of that, so does the demand for human connection. AI is not going to replace humans. It's actually going to increase the need for person-to-person connection. We're going to need people who can stand up in front of crowds and speak. We're going to need people who can have conversations with people and build true empathy and positive emotions and feelings and make people feel understood. That's going to go up. Right now, we're just in the boom phase, right? So everybody's looking at AI. They're jumping to AI. It's not going to take over the world. We're going to still need human connection. And we've seen that, especially when we look at the recent I don't want to use the word because you might get flagged, but the recent virus that went around, we realized the importance of human connection. We need that, right? That is so important. And I think AI is just going to help increase that later. So what I tell my students is use AI as a tool, but at the same time, build interpersonal skills, learn to connect with people, learn to present. They're going to go hand in hand.
I see I think we're conflating two things. I think social media, right, is isolating us. I think you go to a restaurant and I'm old, but before you go to a restaurant, people used to talk to each other. We used to get on when we were in the car. It was time to socialize. It was time to share. It was my duty to share with you certain information because I had gone through certain experiences. Maybe you can learn through those experiences. Today, people get in their car and everybody is disconnected because everybody is getting their dopamine hit. I'm getting my dopamine hit, listening to some sort of podcast. My wife is listening to something. My two kids, younger kids are listening. So we're disconnected. So that's social media, right? But then the question to you is, AI, I see it as a tool for people that are either creating, but I don't see it forging closer, connection.
I agree.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not at the moment because we're in that initial phase. So my argument is right now, no, but it's going to increase the demand for it, right? Because at some point, as humans, we'll naturally feel that disconnect. And we're going to say to ourselves,
why aren't we feeling it right now?
No, we are.
I think we are, and I think it's happening, and it's showing up in different ways, right?
I think what Six is saying is more of a utopian thing. It's like what you're saying is the answer. However, I think that more realistically speaking, what Rocky's saying is true. It's the fact that, what you're saying is that if somebody used ChatGPT the right way, maybe, they'd understand, ChatGPT is not going to replace human connection. It's just going to advance it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's addressing the fear that exists, right? That's the fear around this type of technology. And this is why what you're saying, people aren't jumping on board with it. People don't want to use it. People are avoiding of it because there's a fear. So I wanted to address that fear first. And the second thing was, how do we now leverage that for students to gain advantages in life that they may not otherwise have access to? And that's going to show up by teaching them how to use it in the way that we use it. So we're not using AI as Google, which a lot of people do, right? And I tell my students this, like if you use AI, you go to ChatGPT and you type in, write this essay for me, what's the benefit there? But right now, Khan Academy has connected to ChatGPT that you can use it to have a personal tutor that can give you a 6-week plan on how to learn a language. That's an invaluable tool. Now you got a personal tutor that you wouldn't normally be able to afford that you now have access to, right? Incredible value. For us, it's kind of acting like a mentor or a therapist in some ways when we go there with personal questions to better understand ourselves. Again, something you don't have to pay for, right? So immediate access that's then beneficial. So that's the positive side that I see with it. I'm not sure where the social media part came in, but obviously social media has its own impact.
Because you're postulating that there's going to be this need to socialize, and I don't see that. I don't see this AI helping in that. I think AI is a great tool for creators, and I think
But what do creators do?
creators are just putting out fodder for the people that are.
But what's the goal of a creator? What does a creator need in order to be a successful creator? There's a key word there. Eyeballs, right? Community. You have to build community, which does have value, right?
But it's a community that's isolated. There's a whole bunch of community. You can put a whole bunch of roaches together, but that doesn't make them a community. They're isolated.
I don't know. When Gary Vee does his conferences and all those people show up and they're there and they're talking, Gary Vaynerchuk, right? So when he does his VCon and he's bringing people together and putting them in spaces to connect and collaborate, there's value there. And now I understand what you're saying, because like social media perhaps, but I don't necessarily see how. I think the great content creators are building community and connecting people, right? And I think that's where we're trying to do at the same time.
I don't see that. I don't see that. I think that going with Gary Vee, I think that he's bringing people, he's inviting, and the people raising their hands to go to these are the people that are creators, because you have creators and consumers. Obviously, consumers outnumber the creators by a large margin, and I'm just saying that the people that show up for Gary Vee are the content creators. The guys creating, again, the fodder for the people that are taking in the information. And I don't see, maybe I'm a pessimist, but I don't see AI really helping people. I think that
so AI doesn't help you? I thought you had a very profound epiphany recently about.
Correct. There are people like yourself and myself, which we're creating. A lot of people are not in this circle. Yeah. This is a few circle. Most people are consumers, and consumers are sitting back saying, do me. You know what I mean? So I don't see social media AI. These people, I don't necessarily see them, using AI as...
Are you thinking that it's killing the curiosity or enhancing?
I think that it's people's imagination and their power to create is diminishing, and AI is just going to facilitate that. So there's no longer need.
I'm on that same board. I actually think that's exactly
right. No need to write essays anymore.
I agree. So this is why I'm writing a book on curiosity, right? Because Rousseau talks about this, the idea of children being children and asking questions, and this level of inquiry they're making into the world. And what happens, this is not AI, right? Because he wrote about this many years ago, and he's talking about how parents were doing this, because kids are asking question. You know what? Stop asking the question. I'm just going to give you the answer. Oh, it's raining, so what's wrong? Well, that's the way it is, right? As opposed to giving real answers or probing to ask more questions. So we've started losing curiosity long before. Now, I'm not listen, before social media AI. So I'm not saying that there's not contributing factors. Of course there's contributing factors, but it's like anything in life, there's two sides to the coin. But I think the important thing there is that we have to make sure that we're helping increase curiosity in the world, which is what we're doing. This idea of seeking wonder, using magic, mentalism, self-development, all of these things are increasing curiosity. And then B, we have to teach people how to do this, right? So like we can do it through inspiration, through like performance. And then how do we actually give people tangible things and ways to do it? Because we're losing as adults, and as you get older, we lose it because that's what we're taught. And the more information you have, the less you think about. The curse of the expert, right? You think you know everything, you fall into this trap that you stop asking questions. So we do have to increase curiosity in the world. And I think that's important.
I think that what's happening is, seek wonder. People are seeking entertainment. They're not seeking education. It's almost like, look, if you're being served, why get up and, get it yourself if it's being brought to you?
Right.
But there's a high cost to not getting up. People... they think that somehow playing a game is exercise. It's just like the saying goes, am I getting my vitamins by eating the apple, the apple tasting, candy?
Yeah.
No. And I think that there is a decline of kids reading, because why should we read? Because we have to put effort. And you're saying that in the beginning, people were asking questions. you know, and maybe there were teachers that were saying, you know, stop asking so many
Well,
questions.
parents more so.
Yeah, I think that we're losing. Kids are losing curiosity, because why would you be curious if you're being spoon fed an unending, you know, caravan of entertainment, you know? So kids are not curious.
But that's why we have to teach kids how to use these tools to our advantage, right? It's just a tool like anything else in the world. When the nail gun was created, people said the hammer is going to be obsolete, but it's not.
Tool, I'm saying before the tool, we what's happening is because we have a bombardment of entertainment, people are sitting back and their proverbial couch potatoes, you know, here, send it to me. Even let's say, even getting food, you know, it's like, send it to me, come to me. And there's no, you know, getting up and getting it. There's no, let me ask the questions. So what good is a tool if to use the tool, I have to expense energy or time or money or whatever. If it can be brought to me, like the DoorDash mentality, then I say that people are not going to seek wonder, they seek entertainment.
I think that what it leaves, you know, I revolve a lot of things around magic, around mentalism, around my experience. You know, one of the things that I noticed from just being a practitioner of my art and being in front of people and seeing how people deal with wonder, because that's what it is. They're dealing with and they're wrestling with not knowing what they just saw. And having seen so many people wrestle with this, I see that different people handle it different ways. But here's where you can sort of put them all in different categories. It seems they fall into these kind of like three categories. On one end, you've got your person who just doesn't believe anything you've done. You know, whatever you did is some sort of trick that they know. They may not know all of it, but they somehow will figure out a way. That that you did this thing. So they have the answer, or they have an answer. That's category number one. Category number two is the person that just doesn't know, and they're okay there. They're like almost floating. It's not that they don't care what you did. They're almost they're aware that there's no real way that they're gonna drink this entire knowledge. So they're okay with understanding that you somehow know more than them in this space, and they're okay with it. And then the last person is the person that's so fully bought in, they actually know exactly what I've done because they either feel that they have done this. What I call this is like they're so overly committed, they just know everything. They know.
Give me an example for that.
So
yeah,
for this
I'm getting confused with the
so the
third
first
one and the first
the
one.
first one is a pushing away. I know how you did it in the sense that it's not real. The first category.
So they're not willingly able to suspend.
Yeah,
their
they're not
disbelief.
willing to even delve in. They're unwilling to try to figure it out even because they're already resignated.
And psychologically, that's sometimes an individual issue, right?
Yes.
They don't want to give up their individual power to say, I don't know this thing.
The second person is open. The third person, what I mean about the third person is let's call them the believer. They're so bought in that they know exactly what this is because they've experienced this.
Now, what do you say that what this is? What does that mean?
Mentalism, magic, they have their own perception.
So they know it's entertainment, or they know this?
No. Usually they'll go deeper than that. It's some sort of spiritual something or some sort of... No, they're bought in, but they're so bought in. So you got people who are
accepting and then people who are not accepting. That's what it sounds like so far.
Right, and then the people that are open.
So that's the third category.
Right, but the accepting, I don't mean the accepting. I mean they're... And I should explain this a little bit better. I think jiu-jitsu is the best way. That's the only thing that is the example that I've been wanting to give. In jiu-jitsu and wrestling, everybody knows that there's just a thing about weight distribution. And what happens is simply, if you're trying to put your weight on top of someone, very simply, if you're back too much, then they'll just push you backwards. Mm-hmm. If you're forward too much, they'll just push you forward. So you have to be right in the middle. And any outer balance of you going back or forward gets you rolled over. In what I do in this magic mentalism world, I find that people are either too forward or too back. Back being the guy that says, nah, this is all BS. Too forward is the person that's so willingly, oh yes, this is all true. But this person may be taken advantage of. This person in other parts in their life is the person that might become, susceptible to a cult. Or because they don't have enough questions, in essence, is what I'm trying to say. They're so bought in. There is no barrier of questioning. It's just, yep. It's just, yes.
So where are you going with this?
And what I'm going with it is that the person that enjoys it the most is the person in the middle. See, the person that's sort of like yesing it all, they almost have no sense of amazement. Oh, yeah, but of course, this is amazing. Yeah. Yes, this is all existent. Oh, but of course you can read minds. Where I find it's a little bit of the person in the middle that's saying, well, wait a minute, there's no real possible way for you to read minds, but I just did see you read mine. And it's in that wrestling, I find, that you have something. You have people that are not willing to engage, and you have people that are so willing. So where does this all boil down to in terms of curiosity and wonder? Here's what I found. I find that this also plays out in life. Either people are so willing to believe. Just think about any conspiracy, right? Any conspiracy is, in essence, somebody that at some point just went so head forward that they have no way now out of it. They're so believing into it, let's say. And then you have somebody that's not a believer, let's say a super skeptic, right? So a super skeptic is like, now, there's no questioning, anything. Everything is what it is. There's no questioning. So you have the super skeptic and you have the person that buys in fully. And I'm saying that those two things are dangerous. Where we want to be is in that space of wonder, space of real curiosity, and not fully committed, not fully going
Tie this back to AI and how that's impacting people. Is it beneficial or not beneficial, you think?
AI?
Yeah, how does that tie into...
AI, I think, is, like Rocky said, before you get to the tool, you look at the person that's curious. You look at, what is it? I think that we're all curious. I think what AI ends up doing, it gives you a false sense of that you know it. And the difference is that you have now the information of it. But to know something, at least through experience, is a different domain than you have the information because you have a list of things.
I like that. I do have a connection with the head of education over at OpenAI. Maybe we'll try to get her on here.
There's an actual magician that's working with AI. Forget his name right now, but he was one of the minds behind there, and they brought him on board just to see if they can have a magician help with AI.
I mean, we've been using it, right, to our advantage. Rocky, let's go back to, what did you type into AI to get earlier we talked about this. I know maybe some people are still lingering on this idea. What was so profound that you typed in? What did you type in? You kind of had your story going. What did you literally type that people at home can right now type in to ChatGPT and have a similar, hopefully a similar experience to what you
I'll
had?
answer you, and then I want to go back to something he said. But for the most part, what the big epiphany, and I spoke to Devo about it, was the fact that for the first time, I was connected and interacting with someone that was not judging me. And that was liberating to me, that I can just be in a dialogue with someone who's just is just genuinely just helping me out. And what I want to say is that people like myself and people like the guys here, and probably people that are looking, we're a diminishing group, so in the three people that what I got was, you get the person that has a blanket rejection of what you're doing for the most part. Then there's the person that will give you the consideration but isn't all bought in, and then there's the person that's all bought in. But here's the distinction: they all went for entertainment. Now, most probably the place that you went to entertain, they're probably usually a company, and they're pretty productive. They're part of the producing the population that's producing for the most part. And I'm saying that the reason I say that, you said that nobody really wants the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It was just like the middle, right? Always with the middle. It's too cold, too hot. She went for the center. Center, I say that for a population that is dopamine driven, that's not enough. They're too jaded. So therefore, you have to up the ante and go for extremes.
But I would argue that's community driven. They're looking for a place to belong.
I'm saying that to get people's attention, you have to be extreme, because of the fact that people have been jaded. Their imagination is shot. You follow what I'm saying? So curiosity and wonder is callous. I mean, it is, to get people excited. A conversation is not even exciting anymore. Before this was exciting. A lot of people find this boring.
I think that's what I was trying to refer to as the last person. So where I think you misunderstood it as bought in, I was saying the jaded person. I was saying the opposite of bought in. I'm saying jaded. Somebody that's just jaded by it. They're not even. And so maybe I did a bad job in explaining it, but you have the jaded person, you have the person that's not even in on it, and then you have the middle. Not that they're the middle person; it's the perfect space to have them in, is what I wanted to say. Which is, yes, that they're bought in because they're wrestling with it. Like, oh my God, how is this? That's you wrestling. That's with you having a certain kind of consideration. Whereas jaded is like, okay, I've seen that. I've seen something.
And
like
those
that
are the
before.
people that will pick up their phone in the middle of an amazing presentation that the person might have done, so much preparation, but put to them, it's not extreme enough, So they're looking for extreme, things that are based on I would say.
Let's go around and do some final thoughts. Six final thoughts.
I think to that I'll challenge with like the obsession with kids with these like Minecraft games where we're going back to pixelated, very basic games where we don't necessarily need the high graphics and all these things as a way to engage us. I think attention spans are diminishing, so I think that's where maybe some issues may be coming in and tying into what you're saying. I think at the end of the day, AI is a tool, and it's up to us and how we use it. And I think we have some valuable insights to share with people. Maybe I'm in the middle here, so I can see the negative and the positive.
You have to be extreme, Six.
I have to be extreme according to Rocky.
To Rocky.
Step up my extremism here. And
AI, it's a great tool. People are not going to use it to maximize their production. They're going to try to continue to have this DoorDash mentality, and how can it do me? Instead of using it as a powerful tool that it is to really learn language and look up words and whatever this and that. It's not being used that, but it's just fascinating. Explain to me what Shakespeare we're talking about. They're not doing that. They're doing, how can I get more entertained with AI? AI can entertain me more. So it's a great tool that's just gonna get dusty because it's not gonna be used.
I'm on Rocky's side. I think that maybe part of my purpose in life, and it's good. It's a good thing for my career, for magic, for mentalism. Where in a world where, we went from the days of Houdini, where vaudeville was the form of entertainment because that's what people did. They would go out and watch a show live to get that live experience. A guy was going to die on stage right now. Now you wouldn't even go there because you're like, they're going to get sued if they did die on stage. Like, there's no way this is even going to happen. This is that jaded, audience that I'm talking about. It's just, there's no way. It doesn't, it's okay. Yeah. Of course he's going to get out. That's what I mean. They're so bought in. There's no challenge. It's just, the guy's going to go up. Let me guess. He's going to get out of the thing. There's no intrigue. And I think that my job, I think to the future and what I think my job will be is still filled with people who are jaded. And to me, it's a beautiful thing because it's like, it's going to be my job to bring that wonder out of people, that curiosity. I love working specifically for the people that in that first category that say, oh yeah, this is probably that kind of jaded person is very on both sides actually. Give me both sides. That's why I want at my shows, because I feel that I can actually get them across the line.
I want to push back a little bit. There's no way in this world is AI going to become a dusty tool. It is probably one of the most important turning points in history happening right now. AI is the new internet in many ways. There are so many aspects to it and how it's being integrated into schools, technology, day-to-day life. I think we're witnessing probably one of the most important times in history with AI. And I think at some point, every single person will be using AI, whether they know it or not. And I think it's also going to push magicians and challenge us to be better, because AI is going to start to look like magic. And it's going to be our job to be better than AI.
What if Six is not even here? This is all AI. That would have been crazy.
What I'm saying is, it's going to get dusty.
I got an earpiece that's been telling me all this information. Thank you,
It's going to get dusty for for just your regular users is what I'm saying. There'll be people that are going to take this and they're going to use it. Most people are going to interact with AI, but it's more like consumers, but they're not going to use this amazing tool to further themselves, like an educational tool.
I heard the new GTA 6 is going to have AI, and people are going to be at home being able to play video games with literal characters that will talk to them. They'll have relationships with them. This is stuff. I think I'm on Rocky's side, but I want to hear that.
Is that going to educate them?
Well,
is that going to move the needle for that person?
I want to end it here, guys. We can talk for hours. We'll be back. Guys, if you're listening to this, wherever you're listening to this, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment. What do you think about AI? Six is on saying, look, this is a gift that we've been given. Rocky's saying, we understand it's a gift, but this gift is just going to turn into what we've done with DoorDash and Uber. We've kind of just let it use us in a way. And so I want to hear from you guys. I want to thank you, Six, for coming out here. Thank you, Rocky. And thank you guys for listening. My name is Devonte Magic. You can find me on Instagram, Devonte Magic. That's DEVONTE, and then Magic, common spelling. And Six, where can we find you?
You can find me michaelmuldoon.com, MichaelMuldoon.com, or Instagram, LinkedIn, all that good stuff at Six Finger Magic, SIXFINGERMAGIC. Yeah, thanks for having me. This has been great. Make sure you guys also subscribe to this because we got plenty more coming. This is just a little warm up for you.
Yes. And Rocky, where can we find you?
Basically, I just got into LinkedIn because of Michael. Rocky told me. Rocky, ROCKY, told me. TOLD, me and me.
I'm going to get him using AI to get that profile. And
all right, guys. Well, follow us, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Peace.